Hi there, I'm Andrea Garvey and welcome to the Creative Spark. Every week, I'm going to share a simple 10-minute practice to help you return your sketchbook or your art journal and make space for creativity in your everyday life. I hope you enjoy them and I'll see you in the studio. All right, I know I say that this is my favorite thing all the time, but this little doodle rose idea, the whole concept of it too, is probably one of my favorite techniques that I do to really find some peace and quiet in my mind. Okay, so the doodle rose came about during COVID when I went live all the time. You might have seen me back in the day. I feel so weird to say that, but seriously, it also feels like so far away, but yet it was only a few years ago. And when I was going live, I went live all the time because my mom lives in New York and I was in California and I wanted to make sure she was doing okay. So I wanted to do a little art with her. So that's how even my Facebook community, Create Joy, got started. And we did these doodle roses. And they make me so happy. And I can't wait to do this with you today. So doodle roses is just me taking this flower and turning it into a whimsical shape, but not really thinking too much about it. It's just mindful, me drawing it over and over. And then I love to incorporate a little Zentangling into the whole thing. But I'm going to show you a few examples before I do a demo so you can see some. This is just another one that I had started, and I'm just working in my Ranger Delusions art journal here. This is an older book, but I think there's a blank page at the end. I'm going to work on one, but you can see I start in the middle and I kind of work my way out. And then I found this one back here. This is another one where I'll also do these little roses and then color them in and just make it just this fun, colorful thing. Here is one I just found. I made this journal, and this is just a homemade journal made out of Fabriano paper. And I made the doodle roses and painted them. And most of this is, I think it was like a wash of acrylic ink or watercolor first. And then I did the doodle roses on top. And I used some markers to kind of bring them to life, little Copic markers, I think. So fun. There's just all these little tiny details in there. And they're really, really easy. And then you'll get just carried away making these. So I thought, you know what? Let's make them again. If you've been following me, you know that this is one of my favorite things to do. I just did a Facebook Live where I was talking about doing it. And let's find a page back here. One of the things that I'll do too is you might notice this. I'll start to kind of flip around some of my pages. So this Ranger Delusions art journal, and I'll link to it in the description, is great for art journaling, sketching, painting, all of the things. It's all filled up except for the last few pages. So I thought I would just create on there. Okay, so I have two different pens. I'm going to do some doodle roses with. This one is ID Enti Pen. I don't even know if that's how you literally say that or not. I don't know. I found these in my studio. So I don't think I bought them. I think maybe somebody gave them to me, but they're awesome. And then Micron number 5. I like working with permanent pens because then I could watercolor on top of them if I wanted to, but you can use anything. You could use a regular marker. You could use a Sharpie. It's all fine. The way I get started is I start in the middle somewhere, because that's how I sort of can go around on the sides and keep expanding it. And it doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but let's just put a circle. So that's all I do is I start with a circle. And usually I put a heart in the circle. So we might as well get that in there. Why not? And the first thing I do is I draw one petal that takes up maybe half of my shape. And then I do 2 other petals. And sometimes they're all different sizes or squiggles. It doesn't matter, but I want one to be bigger and then 2 to be smaller. And these 2 do not have to be the same size. There are no rules. Then I do the second layer in the back. And then I just have the second layer done. So it starts to make this circle. So here I have 3 in the front with my little tiny sweetheart, and that sweetheart. Then you could actually even go and do another layer. You could even make a mandala, and my nose is stuffy because of allergies, so excuse me. But you could even keep layering. Imagine how pretty this would look if you just kept going and going around and around and around. But if you did something like that, just remember you want to not be totally centered. So these are all a little bit off-centered, and that's how I build up this rose. So once I've done my outlining, then what I like to do, and they're all different, like every single doodle rose is different. This is where it becomes like a little bit of a mindful practice, because once you start practicing these roses, you're going to be able to do these without even thinking, oh, wait, am I doing 2 petals or 3 petals? No, you're not even going to think about it anymore. You're just going to do them. And then what's going to happen is you're going to be able to use these roses as your go-to when you're, say if you're stressed or you saw something on the news that was upsetting, which seems to be a lot these days, but let's say you're watching something on the news, you know, just go grab a cup of tea and grab a pen or a pencil or a marker and just start doing some of these roses. And what happens is you just get lost in this way of creating this little flower out of nothing. And it's really fun. It's not serious. Okay, so hold on. While I'm thinking about this, I want to put another circle here, and I'm going to do one bigger. They can be wonky. They don't have to be a perfect shape. And then I'm going to do the second layer. I love how this pen sounds. So cool. How cool is that? You don't have to have the stripes on the big one either. The stripes could be like this. You don't have to have a heart. You could just have a circle and another circle and another circle. You don't have to have 3 layers. So every one of my doodle roses, I try to make a little different. So let's do a couple more, and then I'll show it to you with a different size pen. But anyway, they have become really part of my feel good technique. When I want to feel good, I pull out the doodle roses. Now this one I kind of made even, so it's not as fun as these. I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing, which is kind of the whole purpose, but no judging. Still super cute. You can also do the stripes on the second layer. Look how fun this is. I want you guys to write in the comments if you're doing this and if you're loving it and if you're crazy about it. And I want to know if you're doing these doodle roses everywhere. I was going to say, I don't think you can share it with me, but you could certainly join my Facebook group and share doodle roses and say, hey, here's my doodle rose. I would love to see them. So you get the idea, right? Now I want to do it with a different pen. So this is a super cool pen. Again, I have no idea where it is. I'll try to link to it. I'm sure I can find it somewhere. This is a Micron 05. I use lots of different microns. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a circle, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a heart. And then I'm going to concentrate, and I'm going to do maybe a half. It could be a little less than a half. And one little petal, and then another. And you can see they're not exactly the same size. I don't really want them to be the same size because, like, look at that one. It looks almost too uniform. And now I'm going around to the back, and I'm giving it another layer. And then this actually kind of helps make it into a little circle. And then you could do some more layers. Okay, because all these flowers, like look at this magnolia I have here. It's just layers. I don't know, it's a little dark, but it's layers and layers and layers. And that's what we're doing. We're making these layers. You could then turn it into making designs. You can make the circle bigger. I know you are going to fall in love with this little idea. I'm trying not to touch the other one. That's just me being silly. They can touch. They can touch. They just did. There's no reason why they can't touch. But I'm going to flip back to this because I'm at 10 minutes already. Shoot. Okay, I'm trying to make this under 10 minutes. I really don't want to take up everybody's time, but I do want to show you something really quickly. Okay. So the doodle roses that I just showed you, I want you to think about putting down 4 or 5 doodle roses, maybe a little bit more, and then connecting them together with shapes. So this is where it kind of becomes really fun. Like I'll just do triangles or fish scales, sort of those arches, dots, little bit of whatever. And then I just expand it out in all directions. And then, you could take this whole idea and make a photocopy of it. And then you could color in the photocopy, or you could give it away, or you could just take markers and go right to town on here. Now, where was I? Over here. Anyway, I'm trying to be quick, but you can see how they are so much fun. And I really encourage you to always have like a little sketchbook or a little art journal or something with you that you can just have in your pocket, because doodling these roses, to me, they always go in my sketchbook too. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that. The other thing I was going to tell you is I'm going to link in the description a free Sketchbook Starter Class. That's just a really fun way to just get your sketching starting. So I want you to always remember that sketching doesn't have to be literal. It's not like I'm going to draw this magnolia. No, I'm going to make these doodle roses. I'm going to put them in my sketchbook, because some days you just feel like your brain can't handle it too much. And so it just wants to have a little mellow time, and these are perfect. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you soon. Bye.